In this lesson, you will create a custom beam type by changing the dimensions of the openings in a standard castellated beam. Click the menu browser and select Open. And in the Open dialog, from the Training Files Imperial folder, open the file Custom Beam. Let's create a beam type based on an existing beam that shares the same properties. Zoom in on one of the castellated beams and select the beam, and from the Element Properties drop-down, click Type Properties. Then, in the Type Properties dialog, click Duplicate, and in the Name dialog, type CB 18x22 Custom, and click OK. Now let's modify the beam opening. We'll modify the beam by changing the size of the opening to allow for larger utility cables or similar services. The values for the dimensions are listed in the Type Properties dialog and are displayed in the beam diagram. Under Construction, for E1 or T length, type 8 inches. For E2 or space between voids, type 5.5 inches. For B or length of sloped portion, type 4 inches. For DT1 or T depth for top beam, type 3 inches. For DT2 or T depth bottom beam, type 3 inches. Then click OK. Refer to this diagram to identify each of the dimension parameters for the beam opening. Next, let's apply the new beam type. Once the beam type is created, we'll apply the new type to an existing beam already placed in the project. Select one of the other castellated beams, and then click the Change Element Type drop-down and select CB 18x22 Custom. When you do, notice that the openings in the beam will change based on the new beam type. Clear the selection and close the file without saving it, as the next lesson will provide its own training file, and that concludes this lesson.